Morning, it's Jocelyn here from A Balanced Life, and I am out hiking again this morning. I might look a little bit like a bedraggled, drowned something. It just decided to rain heavily on me, and I hadn't brought my raincoat with me. And that's Gizmo, my little dog, and he comes hiking with me. And so you may hear him in the background every now and then. He likes to yell at me because I'm not walking. So let's walk and talk. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit today about nourishment. And when I say nourishment, most people's eyes glaze over because they think I'm talking about food. And yeah, of course, nourishment is food as well. It's a big part of setting up a balanced life, is figuring out what works best for you in terms of the nutrients you're taking in. Excuse the light behind me. It's a bit of a weird, gloomy day today, and the light's doing some very strange things on me. So nourishment is, yes, about the food that we're taking in. It's also about all of the other things that we need to feed ourselves for our nervous systems to feel safe. And that can be really challenging. If you are in an unsafe environment, if you are someone who has the beliefs that you're not safe and you've grown up with those, then it's very difficult to start that process of changing those beliefs and creating safety for yourself in your body and in your environment. I never had those challenges. I had some challenges around beliefs and safety and my body being a safe place. For a long time it was a place of pain and aggravation and a lot of emotional trauma from all sorts of things. And so it's taken a long time to unwind those beliefs. I'm just undoing a gate, which is very heavy. Come on, Gizmo. So it's taken a wee while to unwind those beliefs, and that's part of the process that I've been going through over the past probably 5 or 6 years now. And as part of that, I've had to learn also how to actually nourish myself properly. And a really big part of that is just some very simple things. Just trying to get the gate to go here. Right, now we have the gate. Pick up my walking poles. And we're off. Creating safety for our nervous system can start with very simple, regular practices. Nourishing ourselves with great nutrition is a really good starting place. It's also about how we eat. It's about slowing down and actually tasting our food, eating mindfully, and understanding that when we eat in a rush and we're not actually taking time to just breathe and eat slowly, that we're not getting the nutrients from the food that we're eating. And so we're actually nutritionally starving ourselves, and that means we're actually perpetually hungry. And if you tie that in with elevated levels of cortisol, because we are stressing ourselves out all the time, going flat out, never stopping, our nervous systems are just running on caffeine and nervous energy, then we are actually not giving ourselves what we need to thrive, to have energy, and to function at our best. I slipped into that again. I tend to do that when I get a whole lot of things piling in on at once. It's really, really easy to drop the things that are actually best for us. And I was falling into the exact same trap, having become unwell, had a whole pile of things piling in at once, and in recovery from that, trying to push too hard to get back to where I had been prior to being sick, and my body was basically not ready for me to be doing that, and consequently I kept getting that old chronic fatigue coming back again, which is just hideous. So slowing down and taking time out and doing the things that bring me joy, and that's dropping my hat on the ground now. Ugh. Bit tousled this morning. That's nourishing ourselves. Our gut is where most of our body's chemistry actually starts. And things like serotonin, which help to regulate our hormones and all of our system, our happiness, our joy, starts in the gut. And if we're not nourishing ourselves efficiently and feeding our gut microbiome, then we are doing ourselves a disservice. And that's, I did it for years, let's face it. I was always very focused on nutrition from a point of view of weight loss, because I battled my weight my entire life. But it's the interconnectivity of all of our systems and nourishing ourselves at every level that actually makes the biggest difference. And that's the shift that I've made over the past 5 or 6 years. I stopped seeing food as something that I needed to cut back, cut out, etc., and really started to look at the nuts and bolts of what I needed in terms of nutrition. So getting nutrients from the food. And then I started to look at all of the other aspects that nourish me. And really that's where things were missing. So movement, for example, is a massive part of that for me. And to be honest, needs to be for pretty much everybody, because we are beings that are made to move. I used to either go full tilt to the point where I was for everlastingly injuring myself, and it was kind of like punishment and forcing my body into doing things, or I'd be injured and I'd stop completely, and then it took me so long to rebuild again. After having gone through hip replacement surgery when I was 49, as a consequence of a whole number of factors that contributed to it, I started to rebuild again, and then kept injuring myself. Major injuries. And in the finish, I had to stop and figure out what on earth was going on. And I shifted at that point from looking at movement as really something I had to do to push myself into so that I would be fitter and I could lose weight, to finding the things that brought me joy and moving joyfully. Things that I actually wanted to do all the time. So I've always loved hiking. Being in nature is another aspect of nourishment. The smells, the sounds, the feel of it, everything about nature, the energy of it is nourishment. And it fuels me as much as anything else possibly can. So for me, moving joyfully in nature ticks all the boxes. So basically, I've slowly but surely rebuilt my fitness, one small step at a time, literally, and started off by just saying to myself, look, let's just put your shoes on and go outside, and let's just go for a stroll in the fresh air. And that's where it started. And I slowly rebuilt from there. I've rekindled my absolute passion for hiking up around the hills, and I'm fortunate to have, excuse me, that was a bit of a cow rut. I'm fortunate to have a farm I can walk on, so that's really cool. And I do that several days a week. And I hike up around the hills and I trail run through the bush, and I just do it in a way that feels right for my body. And I've slowly but surely rebuilt my fitness to the point where I can now go out hiking wherever I want, and I'm able to, do most of the things that I could when I was 20 years younger, and am doing so in a way that's not actually causing injuries. And that's the first time I've ever done that in my entire life. And that's basically nourishing myself properly with great nutrition, with slowing down and actually enjoying the food that I'm eating and engaging my senses when I do so. I'm optimizing the amount of nutrition that I get from my food, and I'm moving joyfully. And that's, that is a huge amount of nourishing ourselves. There are lots of other aspects to nourishment. It's about connection, it's about emotion, it's about all of the things that we need as complex beings to feel at our best, to thrive, and to tell our nervous systems that we are safe. So if we're starting from a place where we are perpetually pushing and always running and always having our nervous systems in fight, flight, or freeze, then we're not nourishing ourselves, and we need to start taking some small steps to be able to actually start nourishing ourselves in ways that work for us. And for me, that has been literally the food that I'm eating, the way that I'm feeding myself. It's been slowly but surely finding the things that bring me joy in terms of movement. It's been about letting go of a lot of those old beliefs that were in the background, driving how I approached things and did things. And people who see me, I was at something the other day, walked into the room. One of them says, "Oh my God, you've lost so much weight." And I was like, "Oh, I suppose I have. I don't really think about it like that anymore." And then the other one's like, "You're so much calmer." And I think that's been one of the biggest shifts of all, is actually calming down very deliberately, slowly but surely, letting go of the old beliefs that had me pushing, understanding that it's actually okay to stop when you need to stop and take time for yourself. And that can be really hard to do. There's all those ingrained old beliefs that we're taught about productivity, about our worth, all of those things that aren't nourishing. They're not nourishing us as people. They're not nourishing us actually as societies, to be quite honest. And so learning to slow down and nourish ourselves is fundamental to making changes and to living more in balance. And basically that's it in terms of nourishment. There's so many things that we can do to nourish ourselves, and starting as simply as just stopping and taking time at least one meal to be able to enjoy the food that you're eating, engage your senses while you're doing it, take a deep breath, just take a deep breath and slow down. Those are sort of the foundational things when it comes to nourishing ourselves and teaching our nervous systems that we don't need to be in fight or flight mode. And that makes massive difference to our energy levels and how we show up in the world. So that's basically what I wanted to chat about this morning. It's turned into a bit of a lengthy chat. If you've stayed with me this long, I applaud you. Great, thanks. It's neat to see you here. And if you want more about this, my Grounded program will be coming out soon. And in that I will be teaching some more of the sort of the foundational aspects of developing your own balanced life and getting out of that whole nervous system cycle of being in fight or flight mode, of constantly being burnt out and having no energy. And at 56, I can honestly say I'm fitter, stronger, healthier, and a lot more calm and balanced than I have been in my entire life. It's an ongoing process, and it always will be, but it's definitely possible to make changes and to live a much more joyful and balanced life. So thanks for being with me this morning, and hopefully I'll see you next time.